Hey YouTube, it's Appalachian ADV Rider here, coming to you with another knife review of this Spyderco. So I kind of like big knives, and I know there's several people out there that do like big knives. One of the guys is Satu Dave. He's got a YouTube channel, so go check him out. He has much bigger and nicer knives than I have. Ta-ta! It's a Spyderco Subvert Sprint Run. Let me tell you, this knife is ridiculous. That's really how I want to sum this knife up. I mean, I just love the size of this knife. If you like a big knife, this is a big knife. It's over 9 inches, just slightly over 9 inches. The blade itself is clearly, it's like 4 1/4. The actual metal, and the cutting edge is over 4 inches for sure. So it's not going to be legal in a lot of places. It's got like a machete style blade to it. It's got a nice full flat grind. And this is what the Subvert should have always been from the very beginning. It was released in like 2019, and it came in G10 scales. That was the only way you can get it. So this here is carbon fiber. And just look at this. This thing is ridiculous. It's like super wide. I mean, it actually, if you look at the carbon fiber here, it's thin here and it gets thicker. So this knife gets thicker as you move back. So that means it feels pretty good in the hand. It's got great ergonomics. But out of your pocket, let me close this knife. This thing is ridiculously sharp too. But when it hangs out of your pocket, you see this butt hanging out, and that is just gigantic size butt. Now, I mean, I don't necessarily care how it looks, but if you're trying to conceal this knife, you can forget it. And I wouldn't say this is an EDC knife. So what would this knife be used for? I mean, to me, it would be a great skinning knife, like a hunting. It's got such a long, flat blade, and this belly here is pretty big and curved, and it's got a slight recurve to it also. So this would make a great slicer, even like a food prepper. It would be a great camping knife. It's made out of 20 CV, so it's a very corrosion resistant steel. But even though it's got a lot of the properties that would make it a great camping or hunting knife, it's really fancy, right? So I mean, I don't necessarily know if you would use it. It would be almost too nice to do that. So that's where this knife kind of don't really know where it falls, right? It's a fancy knife that you would use to do mucky stuff with. I don't know. Is that such a thing? Well, apparently it is. And this blade is heavy and it will drop. It's a guillotine drop, and the knife has a double clutch situation where, like right here, it's still on the detent ball. So to get it past that point, the knife is pretty much on its way down toward you, and it will drop. And it cut me the very first time I picked this knife up. I was in the store. It was this weekend. I was riding my motorcycle, and there's a store in a town nearby where I ride, and I was riding through it. And I'm like, oh, let me stop in there. I've been there to purchase other things, and I didn't realize they had a knife section, but I saw the sign, and I'm like, oh, they got a knife section. So I went in and I saw this. So I bought it. I like big knives. This is it's a heavy knife. So let's weigh it. All right. That is a 6-ounce knife. So it's actually as heavy as my Hinderer with a tie scale in it, which is, I'm surprised. It feels heavier than that. So, all right, 6 ounces. And for you guys that go with this wacky system over here, grams, right? 170 grams. So, but it's so big and thick that it just feels unwieldy. All right, so let's see. How big is it? So here's the scale over here. So it is clearly 9 inches for sure. And so let's compare it to some other big knives. Here's a Curtis F3 full custom knife. It's bigger than that. Okay. Here is a ZT. What is that? ZT0200. It's bigger than that. And the blade's bigger than that. Now this knife here, this is an old timer. I bought this knife on the streets of Brooklyn in the late 1970s. And it was a big knife, you know, my whole life, really. I mean, I can't believe that this knife is so old. In fact, that's kind of what got me back into knives. I was looking at YouTube videos, and this guy had pulled this OT, old timer 51 OT. He pulled it out and was talking about it like he found an archaeological knife in a tomb of Tut or something like that. I'm like, wow, yeah, that's old. I'm old. But anyway, so this was always a big knife to me, and this knife is much bigger than that. This is back in the day when they didn't have any pocket clips. All right, enough nostalgia there. You guys probably don't find that as interesting as I do. Here's another one. This is a Zamino tier. It's bigger than that. It's a large size tier. All right. Here's another ZT. ZT makes, you know, big knives, overbuilt knives. This is 0560, a Hinderer designed knife. It's bigger than that. Not by much, but, you know, these are all pretty big knives. Here's a modern ZT. 0308, and this is an aftermarket Mike Carter scale to it, which makes this knife so much better. It comes in tan. This is a bigger knife, just by a little bit, but man, this is a good knife. I haven't reviewed this one yet, so one day. Oh, here's another ZT. This is another Spyderco. This is one of the other Taichung Spydercos that I have. This is made out of LC200N stainless steel. It's part of their, a rust-proof steel, basically. It's part of their Salt series. It's the Caribbean. Much bigger than that. And this is a big knife. All right. And Spartan. Harsey. Yep, just ever so slightly bigger than this one. And that's a big knife for sure. And finally, most people will know, well, not most people. If you're a knife guy, you know this one. A Chris Reeve. And it's clearly bigger than that. All right. So, I mean, what I love about this knife is the size. If you're a big knife guy, this is a big knife. And it is a slicey blade. So just better watch out. Better be careful with this knife. Here. This carbon fiber also has texture to it. Okay, so this knife was crafted by an Israeli goldsmith and a custom knife maker by the name of Nati Amour. Pardon me if I butchered that, but you know what? I'm not Israeli. And he made a knife, a custom knife called the Sabotage, and Blackstone Custom Knife Company released that knife. So this is the production version of the Sabotage. So this here is, I'm going to call a liner lock. And I think that's a great advantage to this knife because the skeleton is protecting the lock bar, if you want to, you know. And so when you grab it and you can squeeze it, that you're not pressing and putting any force on this lock bar. So that's a pretty safe mechanism. So you don't accidentally jam it in there when you hold it really tight. And this has just got a great reverse grip. And this knife is it's just sick. There's no practical reason for this. Like, you could EDC this knife, but it is fat. Like, you know, I stopped and started this video so many times, I don't remember what I said and what I didn't say. So what don't I like about this knife? Well, two things. One is the way this knife drops down. it's a guillotine, and there's times when it experiences a double clutch situation because you're so nervous about that knife plunging down on top of your fingers that you get it out of the way too soon, and then it gets stuck on the lock bar. But the other thing is the detent on this knife is super weak. Check this out. Let's see. Do you see that? Hardly any effort. This knife will come flying out. Yeah, pretty sharp. Yeah, that's like, this is a dangerous knife to carry. I mean, you would have to, definitely carry it in your pocket. And if you carry it in your pocket and the blade's up against the inside of your pocket, no problem. But I wouldn't just drop this in any old pants pocket because chances are this thing's going to come out. And if you drop it, guarantee that blade's going to come flying out. So, the good thing is, I mean, if you thumb flick it, this thing will come rocketing out, and it's a real nice action there, right? But because it's like zero resistance. So that's not great. What am I going to use this knife for? This might become a safe queen, quite honestly, because of that. Or it could be something I just said, the heck with it, and I take camping with me. I do have a lot of camping knives, though, so who knows? This is probably going to be a safe queen. For a big knife, it actually rides pretty nice in the pocket. I mean, if you ignore the size of it, how much sticks out and how thick it is, for it to be in my pocket, it felt comfortable, but I only had the knife in the pocket. Nothing else was in there. So that wasn't bad. Well, thank you for watching this unboxing and first impressions of this knife. And if you wouldn't mind, please subscribe to this channel and like this video. It helps with the algorithm and it helps me grow.